Being stalked for 16 months has changed the outlook on life that I have. It was worse than I thought, but I managed it much better than I could ever have dreamed of. In this video, I will go through the main lessons that I learned from being stalked by a dangerous stalker for 16 months. I am Emma. I'm a medical doctor and a survivor of domestic violence, narcissistic abuse, and also a person who has been stalked for 16 months after separation from the abuser. And the authorities made the danger assessment that the risk of lethal violence is extremely high. So since 9 months, I'm living under protected identity. This sounds like a horrible situation, doesn't it? My daughter asked me a few weeks ago, Mommy, would you rather go back and be with the stalker's name? Or would you want to adopt 24 children? And I said, well, I guess you will have a lot of siblings. She also asked me if I'd rather shave my head, and I told her, well, then I guess I will be bald. So the first thing I learned is that I am so much happier being free to do whatever I want. Yesterday, I took a nap in the afternoon with no guilt and not being afraid to be criticized or terrorized, not being afraid that he will walk in. I really wasn't able to take any naps when in the relationship because I was so tensed and really controlled by him much more than I realized. So just having this tension release, my migraines almost disappearing, and my humor and my happy mood coming back, that has all been worth it actually. The second thing that I learned is that there are people around me who will help me, even though my life is falling apart. They will not judge me. They will extend a helping hand and a kind word. I always thought that I had to keep everything together in order to keep the respect and to keep being liked by the people around me. But that was an illusion, and that was something that actually prevented me from connecting. I got help from so many kind people and different places that I never thought that I would. First of all, the police and the authorities, they have stepped in and really offered a lot of help that I've been very grateful to. I have had friends loaning me money, people working at schools or different locations who have had themselves experience with this or have experienced it in another kind of work, giving me really valuable advice. And well, during the process of being stalked, I have drawn into a ditch with a mobile home once and with a normal car twice. So two of those times, I was pulled out by a stranger, and one of the times there were a lot of people who stopped and tried to help, but we eventually had to call the professional people with the truck to pull the to pull the car out. And how I was able to do that, that's another story. But have you ever tried to turn around when there is with a mobile home in a small space? Then you know what I've been through. And the second and third time was ice on the road and reindeers running out there. People are very helpful. That's the second lesson. The third thing is that I've learned to move to a new location. And like the first time I moved, it felt like going through a tumble dryer. The routines were all messed up, and I didn't know. It took me a lot of time to land, but afterwards you get used to moving. You know that now I have to move around in the area. I want to get to know where to buy the foods, where the gas station is, and I will have to know my surroundings. I will start to say hey to the neighbors and contact a new school, search for the new work, and do everything like in order. And so when you've been through the process, it becomes much less scarier. So I'm a great mover now. And I also learned how to move myself. So the last move, well, since I was the police told me that you cannot tell anyone where you're going, I had to do this move myself. And I was actually afraid to get a moving firm, because like if I got a moving firm in the town I was living, then there would be a trace to the new town. And if I got a moving firm from the new town, then there would be still a trace, because they would have a name on the side of the truck, or the neighbor. I had some curious neighbors. It was a small town. They could perhaps Google the registration number, and I ended just moving all my stuff by myself, and screwing the sofa apart, screwing the kitchen table apart, and putting the heavy furniture on a moving board. So it's like a wooden plate with wheels underneath. And I did it. So that was something that I learned, that I can do things that I never dreamed of. I never thought I would be able to move by myself, but I managed it, and here I am in my new home, and doing great. The next thing I learned was that humor really helps. So after being in an abusive relationship for 21 years, my sense of self, my self-worth and confidence was really low. And I felt dependent on my partner for a lot of things. He took control over large areas of my life, even though I didn't realize how much control it was until I got out. But I was afraid to step out of that space that I knew, that safe space where everything was as I knew them to be. And I had built him up to be really terrifying and in my mind, and he was so intrusive. He was almost all-knowing. He would check up little things and then confront me about them. So he was this huge and scary person in my mind, and he remained that way for a long period after getting away. And I used humor to actually diminish that image, that false, blown-up image. So at one of the times when I moved really far up north of Sweden. It was beautiful. It had northern lights I could see in the evenings, and it would be really cold. So it was winter, and the temperature hit -7 Fahrenheit. So So it was so cold that when I took my kids and put them in the car to drive for a distance, I would have to stop and check their feet and put blankets around just to make sure that they didn't freeze. Even though I have installed a special motor heater, it wasn't enough to keep the heat in the car. Well, when I then he knew the location of the town we were in, but not the address, because he showed up at the school. I had a little while to be able to move everything, and then the temperature dropped, and then I was like going in the moving van and a little laugh and thinking that, yeah, I hope you are stalking me right now, trying to find out where I am, and I hope you're cold and cozy. It was actually, I don't know if he's still out there, perhaps he didn't make it. So that's just a sick sense of humor perhaps, but it has really helped me to get distance to the situation. And that's like humor is always something that people use to get a bit of distance to things, and it's very effective. So it's a very effective mental tool. More humor. Watching funny videos on YouTube also help. Have you seen the one with the lawyer with the that is stuck in the cat with the cat face on the filter with the cat face? If you haven't, then Google it. That's one of my favorites. When my mood is down, then I will watch that video. That's very helpful. I also learned to lose the shame about my situation. I didn't tell anyone that I was being demeaned, abused for 21 years. I kept silent. It felt so shameful to admit to the things that were happening. And the more time that passed, the more shameful it seemed to be. It was almost like I had these two identities, because I did have a profession. I was working as a doctor, and I got a great respect in my work, great feedback from my patients and my colleagues. But it's sort of it's a professional role, and it's sort of authoritarian, even though I'm not really that authoritarian, but it's a role that brings respect. And with that, I felt the pressure to keep everything together. So it became, and I'm also a mom, and I felt a lot of pressure to keep that image of me as a high functioning, put together, and everything is fine, making me feel that shame even deeper, but things are not fine because there is another part of me, the part that is being demeaned, the part that is constantly doing things wrong, the part that isn't loved. And I felt almost like that's the real me, and I don't want anyone to know about that. Talking about what happened, first I was forced eventually to get help because the situation was getting so dangerous. And the first time I told anyone, I didn't tell about the abuse. I just told that I need some help to get to a safe place. And eventually I did tell. So it was very, very hard. And it was a huge resistance. But now time has passed, and I've had to tell. And I've had to tell that I'm living under protected identity. You need to protect my information, and I've had to tell schools what is happening and tell my friends, my family, and now I'm telling you. And it really feels liberating, and it feels that I have been able to put that shame behind me. And because that shame was never mine to carry. That shame belonged with him, and I'm putting it back with him because he was the one who was behaving badly, and he was the one who was behaving in a way that deserved shame. Yeah, one more thing I learned, the last one. I learned that trying to buy an abuser off is not helpful. And this is just a tip, because I've heard this from other women as well. In a situation like this, when you are the high functioning one, you might have property in your name, you have a salary, and you are giving that over to you're giving the control of that over to the abuser during the relationship. Afterwards, because you fear that he will hurt you or the kids, you will try to buy him off. So it's sort of like allowing him to keep the property, allowing him to keep your money or parts of your salary. And I did it myself for half a year. It doesn't help at all. The abuser, stalker, he will use those resources to terrorize you. The abuse is never a fair game. He doesn't view it as, okay, so you did all these kind things for me, so I guess I will reciprocate. No, the abusive situation is like the madhouse. He's like, oh, you're doing all these nice things for me, so you're really weak, and you're the kind of person that I can push down and take advantage of. So he sees your willingness to share, negotiate, and your concern for him as weaknesses and something he can take advantage of, because he's a coward and a bully. Don't buy him off. You are stronger than you think. You're more resilient than you think. And you will do good. Things will improve, and there is a world out there to discover. Living with an abuser is like it's like Groundhog Day, but without the funny moments. It's like it's like the same thing every day, and your life is very restrained. What you can do is very restrained. There are rules everywhere, and getting away from that is like a whole world of colors just opening up, and it is out there and it is waiting for you. I'm Emma, holding up a light over the bridge so that you can come over to the happy side. Remember, there is always a way out. Please be safe, take care, and have a great day.